You knew she was married, didn't you? I asked, my gaze locked onto his. David swallowed hard but said nothing. Emily, on the other hand, finally found her voice. This isn't what it looks like, she started, but even she didn't sound convinced. I let out a bitter laugh. Don't insult me, Emily. I know everything. The late nights, the weekend trips, the calls. I even called him myself. Her eyes widened, and for the first time, I saw something beyond guilt, fear. I turned to David. You can have her, I said simply. But you should know, she lies as easily as she breathes. One day, this will be you standing in my shoes. I didn't stay to hear their excuses. I walked away, leaving them in the wreckage of their choices. The divorce was swift. The evidence I had gathered left her with little room to negotiate. Our assets were divided in my favor, and I ensured she wouldn't get a dime more than necessary. The woman I once loved had become a stranger, and I had no interest in looking back. Emily reached out a few times, pleading, apologizing, but I had nothing left to give. Some betrayals cut too deep. The first time Emily told me she'd be working late, I didn't think much of it. After all, we both had demanding jobs, hers as a marketing manager, mine in finance. Our careers had always taken center stage in our marriage, pushing date nights and shared laughter into the background. But by the third, then the fourth time in as many weeks, something began to gnaw at me. Emily had started dressing up more for work. Her makeup was just a touch more dramatic, her perfume lingering longer than it used to. Subtle changes. But once I noticed them, I couldn't unsee them. I convinced myself I was overthinking it, that I was being paranoid. I trusted Emily. We had been married for 10 years, built a life together, talked about children, even adopted a dog. Yet doubt is insidious. It crept into my mind during quiet moments, refusing to be ignored. One evening, as we sat in silence over dinner, I decided to bring it up. Work been keeping you busy lately? I asked, keeping my tone casual. She looked up from her plate, her eyes guarded. Yeah, she said, her response measured. Big campaign coming up. Lots of late nights. It was too polished, too practiced. Something twisted in my gut, but I nodded, letting it drop. I didn't want to seem accusatory. That night, as she showered, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. I glanced at the screen. A message from Stacy, one of Emily's closest friends, who lived halfway across the country. The preview read, "Tonight was amazing. Can't wait to see you again." My heart slammed against my ribs, a pit opening in my stomach. I could have confronted her right then, but something held me back. I needed proof. The investigation. Over the next week, I tested my suspicions. I called her office under the guise of asking her to lunch. Each time, her secretary told me Emily had left for meetings. Once or twice, I drove by her office. Her car wasn't there. By the time Thursday rolled around, I wasn't surprised when she told me she'd be working late again. An hour later, I grabbed my keys and drove to her office. Her car wasn't in the lot. Determined, I logged into our shared phone account. Her call logs, normally mundane, showed a number she had been in frequent contact with. A number I didn't recognize. I dialed it from a burner phone, my hands shaking. A man's voice answered. Casual. Oblivious. Hey, babe. Missing me already? I didn't respond. I let the silence stretch between us before hanging up. My chest felt heavy, a mixture of rage and heartbreak. That night, I barely slept. I replayed every moment of our marriage, dissecting every lie she had told me. By morning, I had made up my mind. I hired a private investigator. It didn't take long to confirm what I already knew. Emily wasn't just cheating. She was living a double life. Weekend work trips, romantic getaways, late meetings, dinners, and rendezvous at his apartment. I wasn't going to let this slide. But my revenge wouldn't be reckless. I wouldn't let her ruin me, too. I wanted justice, the kind that left her with nothing but the consequences of her choices. The confrontation. I gathered evidence, photos, texts, recorded calls. Everything admissible in court. But before I filed for divorce, I wanted to see them together. His name was David. A colleague. Single.
Smug.
I showed up at his apartment one evening, knowing Emily was inside. The door opened. David stood there, his expression shifting from confusion to panic. "Can I help you?" he stammered. "Yeah," I said coldly, pushing past him into the apartment. Emily stood frozen in the living room, her face pale as a ghost. "You told me you were working late," I said, each word sharp as a knife. "And here you are, throwing away everything we built." David tried to speak, but I turned on him. "Did you know she was married? Or did she lie to you too?" He swallowed hard, eyes darting between us. I didn't know." I stepped closer until we were eye to eye. "You knew. You just didn't care." Emily finally found her voice, but it was weak, trembling. "We can talk about this at home, please." "There's nothing to talk about." I cut her off. "You made your choice." I tossed the envelope of evidence onto their coffee table, watching the contents spill out. Photos of them together, screenshots of their texts. Emily reached for it, her hands shaking. "What are you going to do?" she whispered, tears streaming down her face. I met her gaze, my voice steady. "I've already filed for divorce. You can keep your lover, but you'll lose everything else." I turned to David. His face had turned a sickly shade of green. "Good luck explaining this to HR. Pretty sure they have a strict no fraternization policy." With that, I walked out, leaving them in stunned silence. The aftermath. The divorce was swift. I got the house, the car, full custody of our dog, one of the few innocents in this mess. David lost his job after HR was anonymously tipped off. Emily scrambled to find a new apartment, her reputation in ruins. The first weekend after the divorce was finalized, I took a trip. Somewhere warm. Somewhere far from the wreckage she left behind. Sitting at a beachside bar, the sun on my face, I ordered a drink and realized I felt lighter than I had in years. I was free. Emily had shattered our life together, but in doing so, she had given me something better. The chance to rebuild mine. Stronger, wiser, unburdened. And as for Emily and David, their affair crumbled under the weight of real life. She moved back in with her parents. He relocated out of state, both haunted by the destruction they caused. Their world had collapsed, and I had walked away, unscathed and resolute. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't causing pain. It's thriving despite the betrayal. And that's exactly what I did.